For many years we've been told that the Dallas Cowboys are going to relive history, live up to their iconic name and make a Super Bowl push. And year after year they have fallen short until now, where everyone is starting to give up. The irony being, I think this might be their best chance. We'll start on offense with Brian Schottenheimer going into his second year as offensive coordinator. His foundations being rooted in the Air Coryell philosophy, meaning you run the ball to set up the pass. And let me tell you, he is a master of the run game. He knows exactly how the offensive line needs to operate in order for his running backs to have space. Yes, they've lost Tony Pollard, but I don't know what it's going to take for people to wake up and realise that the run game isn't about who's running through the holes, it's about the guys creating the holes. If there's a hole, Rico Dowdle is going to run through it the same way Tony Pollard ran through it. As I'm recording this video, Ezekiel Elliott has just re-signed from the Cowboys. A controversial move, but he's still got something. I feel like he's becoming a little bit underrated. I've watched some film on him and he is absolutely going to make the most of what's there. He may not excel with some of the stretch play stuff, hitting the outside. That's going to be where you want Rico Dowdle, and I still think Rico Dowdle is probably going to be the primary back, but Ezekiel Elliott to go with that, and Deuce Vaughn and Royce Freeman. These names aren't supposed to blow you away, but the point being, if the blocking's good, this backfield will be plenty productive. So you lose your starting centre in Tyler Biadasz. You immediately replace him with an absolute steal in Cooper Beebe. I can't believe this guy went in the third round. He is going to plug straight in at centre, and I honestly think he can be one of the better centres in the league. He's thick, he's powerful, he's mobile. His only flaw was that he had tiny arms for a guard. Well, you slot him in at centre in between Tyler Smith and Zach Martin, two of the better guards in the league. I don't think that's going to be so much of an issue. Schottenheimer likes to make sure that the defense isn't getting away with being overly compact at the line of scrimmage, and so he draws up these very effective outside runs, and for this reason it's important that the tackles as well as the guard can have an effect in the run game. While Terrence Steele at right tackle, for his flaws, he is mobile. Rookie left tackle Tyler Guyton's going to take his lumps, but he's going to be a fantastic run blocker, I think, from the start. Just like last year, teams are going to be stacking the box to stop the run. Unfortunately for them, you're falling straight into the Schottenheimer trap. Too many bodies up front sets you up for disaster, as Schottenheimer knows exactly how to draw up CeeDee Lamb specifically into space, hence the high production last season. Dak Prescott isn't perfect, as we saw in the wildcard game against the Packers, but he also had his best season last year, mainly due to what I've just laid out. The receivers are in space, it's drawn up to perfection. You've also got Brandon Cooks, who as a number 2 receiver is excellent. Jake Ferguson snuck up on us as a rookie as already one of the better tight ends in the league. Blocks well but really stands up the way he runs routes and general receiving ability. Jalen Tolbert has a bit of dynamism to him, and then you add Ryan Flournoy now to that mix. A talented rookie who they just drafted in the 6th, but hard to know what he really is being that he was at a smaller school. Do I feel good about rookie Tyler Guyton and Terrence Steele being the tackles next year? No. Do I think the ball will be out of Prescott's hand quickly because it's drawn up in the right way? Yes. That's why play calling is the key to everything. We move to defense as the Cowboys lose one of the better defensive minds in football in Dan Quinn. You feel the league start to celebrate as the Cowboys are finally going to be a weak defensive team, until they replace him with a guy who has just as much expertise and a very similar style. Mike Zimmer spoils the party for rival fans such as myself, being that he probably goes under the radar nowadays as one of the better defensive coaches in the league. Similar to Quinn, it's all about generating pressure, but he does it in a bit more of a disguised way. It's often actually a safety or a blitzing linebacker who generates the pressure, and it's rarely predictable for the protection and the quarterback. Now imagine what he can do with Micah Parsons. He'll be lining up off the edge, dropping back into coverage, blitzing up the middle. Zimmer's going to move this guy all over the place, and it's going to be dangerous. Another thing you can clearly identify with Mike Zimmer's defenses is that he loves to play man coverage, specifically press man coverage. This is where it's useful, the similarities between Zimmer and Dan Quinn, because we know Trevon Diggs can cover on an island. We know that Deron Bland can cover on an island because we've seen it, and those two are coming together for the first time. After Trevon Diggs was injured, Deron Bland stepped up into that role and thrived. They are both CB1s. They're both going to be able to provide the man coverage that Zimmer requires. Jordan Lewis is fine as the nickel. he may be overtaken by 5th round pick Kalen Carson. This is another steal for me. I think Kalen Carson can be a starting corner in the league. His fluidity especially makes me think maybe he's there to take over that role from Jordan Lewis as the nickel. Zimmer likes his safeties to play equal roles. He doesn't have so much of a strong safety and a free safety. They both need to patrol the deep end and come down and defend the run. Thankfully, he's got the perfect duo for that. Malik Hooker can cover at a very high level but also does the run defense stuff. Likewise with Donovan Wilson, who also has been used in safety blitz packages in the past. Zimmer's going to be all over that. There's one problem with this defense, and that's the run. For a big human being, Marzi Smith does not hold up against the run, and even Chauncey Golston and Oza Adigizua, who are good players, they're not stopping the run at a high level. They're pass rushers, not space eaters. This is where the signing of Eric Kendricks is key. Kendricks was not only seemingly back to his best with the Chargers last season, but he knows exactly what it takes to be the off-ball linebacker in the Zimmer system. And whilst this is a genuine concern of mine, Kendricks is going to plug those gaps that the defensive linemen are leaving. Damone Clark and Marquise Bell especially are far more orientated to coverage, but I suppose I'm a pretty big fan of the Cowboys draft because another steal in the 3rd round, Maurice Lafau. When a linebacker doesn't jump off the screen physically, he's not going to be drafted early. But maybe that logic needs to be questioned a little because this guy has all the instincts and nose for the football required to be Eric Kendricks 2.0. I could see them not really lining up with a coverage orientated linebacker and just having those two helping to plug the run. Or will it be DeMarvion Overshown, drafted in the 3rd round in 2023, injured last year, didn't play, but looks to have all the physical ability and a bit of a nose for the football. Seems like he has the upside to play that role better than both these guys we're talking about. DeMarcus Lawrence is icing on the cake, the best run defending edge in the league, not to take away from the fact that he is one of the better pass rushers in the league as well. In summary, I'm still in the process of going through all of these teams the way I've just have with the Cowboys and the Commanders, so it's hard to know exactly where I think the Cowboys rank against the better teams in football, but I will say they're not going to suddenly collapse like everyone's expecting. They're going to be a really good team. People worry about the wrong things. The formulas are in place. There's a chemistry on offense that works. They have a high level defensive mind with the weapons he needs in place. Ultimately, the team and Dak Prescott specifically need to prove that they can keep it together, not fall apart in the big moment in the playoffs, but they really could shock some people this year. Appreciate you checking in, and next time we're going to be covering the Philadelphia Eagles.